Hi everyone, thank you for joining me on our weekly review. I'm currently on page 28 of our packet. So last week we went over sequences and we learned about two different types of sequences. The first one is called our arithmetic sequences, okay? But before we get there, a sequence, that's a really big font, let's make it smaller. It's a list of numbers that may form a pattern. Each number in a sequence is called a term. Okay, so this is just some definitions for us. And then the first type of sequence we talk about, arithmetic sequences, are sequences with terms that share a common difference. And we said a common difference means that our pattern is either an addition or subtraction pattern. Okay, again, an arithmetic sequence is one that follows addition or subtraction. All right, let's take a look at page 29 and learn how to read sequences. So these are, we have little numbers on the bottom, and these are not operations. I know sometimes we're used to seeing like an exponent, so like a squared, and that means to do something, right? But with the little number on the bottom, it doesn't mean any sort of operation. It's just a way for us to read it. So A with the little 1 on the bottom means our first term. Okay, so in a pattern, A with the little 1 on the bottom is that first number in our pattern. It's always the first something. Like let's say when we're dealing with word problems, it could be the first week, the first month. But A with the little 1 is our first term. So A with a little 2 would be our second term. And then you can probably guess what A with the little 3 means. That means our third term. Here's where a lot of us started getting confused in class. A with the little n. N in this case is a variable, meaning you can replace it with any number that you want. So if, let's say this was 5, then this would be the 5th term. If it was 7, it would be the 7th term. Okay, so n just means any term number. Any term number. An plus 1 is the term after the nth term. So let's say n was equal to 5, and the n plus 1 term would be our 6th term. And then an minus 1 would be the term before the nth term. So in the same example I just gave, the n minus 1 term would be our 4th term. All right, we do have a new formula we have to learn for this unit. Actually, 2 new formulas. This is the first one. And again, you do not need to memorize it. It is given to you. We just need to know how to use it. Okay, let's see what we can define. A with the n, right? We just defined that above. We said this is the nth term. I mean, this is any term, okay? Any term that we want. This is usually the term that we are looking for. Term we are looking for. A with the little 1, we went over that. That is our first term. N is the term number. And D is our common difference. That's our pattern. And we'll talk about how we can find that in a little bit. Okay, so just make sure you know this formula, and let's move forward to our next page. So I am now on page 30. Let me copy this formula onto the top because, again, we do not need to know, we do not need to memorize it. We just need to know how to use it. So an equals to a1 plus n minus 1 times our common difference. Okay, I'm on page 30. Let's take a look at example 2. It says write the explicit formula for each arithmetic sequence, then find the 20th term. So let me do this part first. Write the explicit formula for each arithmetic sequence. So we need to come up with the formula. So some pieces I need to define. Our first term is going to be 5. To find your pattern, all you have to do is take the second term and minus the first term. You get -3. Okay, and now let's fill these in. So our formula is going to be to find any term, so that's an. What you're going to do is take the first term and you're going to add n minus 1 to it times negative 3. So this is our explicit formula. Okay, we're about to do the next part. That's our formula. The next part says find the 20th term. So let's see if we can do that. If we want to find the 20th term, what we're going to do is plug 20 into this formula. So A 20, right? That's what it means to find the 20th term. Is going to be 5 plus 20 minus 1 times negative 3. Let's pull out our calculator. A really cool app if you don't have it. I do not need to put the A20 onto the calculator because, again, that's just us reading it. That just means the 20th term is, let's plug this in, 5 plus parentheses, 20 minus 1, close parentheses, times negative 3. And we get that's equal to negative 52. Okay, and that was our 20th term. Okay, let's see if we can do the next one together as well. So again, let me define our pieces. A1, our first term, is going to be 70. Our common difference, I'm going to take the second term, 77, and minus 70, I get that that's going to be positive 7. Okay, let's see if I can plug in to find my formula now. So AN, to find any term, is going to be A1, which is 70, plus parentheses, n minus 1. I don't know what n is yet, right, because this is just the formula, times our common difference, which is 7. So that is our formula. Okay, let's use this and see if we can find the 20th term. So to find the 20th term, this is A20 is equal to 70 plus our n is now 20 minus 1 times 7. Our 20th term is, we're going to plug this into our calculator, 70 plus 20 minus 1 times positive 7. And I got 203. Sounds good. Okay. Let's do 2 more problems together, okay? And maybe you can try to do them before I do them, just so we practice. So, go ahead and try to do the You Try A. You can pause the video now. When you're ready, go ahead and unpause it, and I will go over it with you. Okay, to find our formula, first I need to define my first term is 23. My common difference, let's see, it's 35 minus 23, which we get is going to be positive 12. So now I can write my formula. My formula is AN equals to A1, which is 23, plus n minus 1 times my common difference, which is 12. This time I'm looking for the 25th term, so instead of 20, this is going to be A25 equals to 23 plus 25 minus 1 times 12. So our 25th term, plug this into our calculator, 23 plus 25 minus 1 times 12. And I got 311. All right, and B. Go ahead and pause it if you need to. Otherwise, I'm going to start going over it. Our first term is going to be negative 20. Our common difference, you take your second term and you subtract your first term. If you do that, you end up getting negative 5. So now my formula, AN equals to our first term, which is negative 20, plus n minus 1 times our common difference, which is negative 5. Now, if I'm looking for the 25th term, A25 equals to negative 20 plus negative 25. Oops, why did I say negative 25? Sorry, positive 25 minus 1 times negative 5. So our 25th term, let's see what we get. Negative 20 plus 25 minus 1 times negative 5. And we get negative 140. Okay, let's keep going and see what else we covered last week. There is extra practice on page 31, okay? So you guys can scan this QR code using your phone, and it'll link you to a video that goes over this extra practice page in case you need it. We also did some word problems last week. I'm not going to go over them, but on page 35, again, you can scan this and it'll go over the word problems with you. I am going to move on to page 36. So the other type of sequence we talked about last week is geometric sequences. And geometric sequences follow a pattern of multiplication or division. Okay, so let's fill this out. So this is in a geometric sequence. The ratio of any term to the previous term is constant. The sequences have a common ratio. So remember in arithmetic sequences, we had a common difference. In geometric sequences, we have a common ratio. To determine the common ratio, you must divide the second term by the first term. Okay, here is another formula. We do not need to memorize it, just need to know how to use it. AN, we already talked about this. This is the nth term or any term, right? We just depends what n is. A1 is the first term. R is our common ratio. Let's get started. Let's take a look at example 1. The first term of a geometric sequence is 128 and the common ratio is 0.5. Write a formula for the sequence and use it to find the 10th term. Let me first actually copy this formula down. AN equals to A1 times R to the n minus 1 power. Okay, let's see what we have. They tell you that the first term is 128, so I know A1 is equal to 128. And they tell you the common ratio is 0.5, so R equals to 0.5. Let's go ahead and plug in. AN equals to A1, which is 128, times our common ratio 0.5 to the n minus 1 power. So this is our formula. Let's use this now to find our 10th term. To find our 10th term, we're going to replace n with 10. So our 10th term is equal to 128 times 0.5 to the 10 minus 1 power. Let's take a look. 128 times 0.5, and then remember to get it to the exponent, we press that button above the division sign. 10 minus 1, and I get 0.25. Okay, go ahead and try that you try, and then I will go over it with us. All right, same deal, right? They give us A1, so they tell you the first term is 8, and they give you a common ratio is 3. So let's write our formula first. AN equals to A1, which is 8, times our R, which is 3 to the n minus 1 power. That is our formula. And now I want this to find my 5th term. So A5 is equal to 8 times 3 to the 5 minus 1. The 5th term is equal to, use our calculator, 8 times 3 to the 5 minus 1 power, and I get 648. Let's do 2 problems where we have to find the common ratio on our own. So, example 2, I have my first term is going to be 8, and my common ratio, to find that, we take our second term and divide it by our first term. So my common ratio is negative 16 divided by 8, negative 2. So now I have that. We're going to plug it into our formula. AN equals to, our first term is 8, times, I'm going to put negative 2 in parentheses, to the n minus 1 power. And what do they want? The 13th term. So A 13 is equal to, that means the 13th term, 8 times negative 2 to the 13 minus 1. So our 13th term is equal to 13 minus 1. Big number, 32,768. Okay, almost there. Go ahead and try this last you try problem, and then I'm going to go over it with us, and that is all. Ready? Okay, our first term is going to be 1,000. Our common ratio, to find that, we're going to take our second term, 500, and divide it by our first term. 500 divided by 1,000, I get 0.5. All right, let's take a look. To find our nth term, we're going to take our first term, which is 1,000. You're going to multiply it by our common ratio, which is 0.5, to the n minus 1 power. That is our formula. Now let's use that to find our 8th term. So to find the 8th term, you're going to take 1,000, multiply that by 0.5 to the 8 minus 1 power. So our 8th term is going to be, let's see, 1,000 times 0.5 to the 8 minus 1 power. Well, we get a crazy number, and that's okay. Oh, no, sorry, I messed up. I put minus. This was supposed to be times, and that happens to us. 7.8125. See, I make mistakes too, but it's important that we catch them. Okay, so that's all we've done. You guys can practice these at the end. Again, just like all the other lessons that we've done, there is an extra page that you guys can do. Feel free to scan it, watch it. But if you're ever confused, you guys can always come to class, ask questions. You can leave a comment on the video. You can post on the Google Classroom. We are here to help you. All right, thank you for watching this video. We're really close to the region, so this is really great. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate how hard you're working, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.